not in Kansas anymore.
You have my curiosity.
Are you telling me you built a time machine?
The Force will be with you. Assemble.
Welcome back to Get Real, the podcast where we get real about all of our favourite pop culture movies and TV shows. With me today is my Dark Knight Crusader co-host, Chris. Here he is.
I'm Chris. I'm a co-host. Time for the podcast.
Time for the podcast. How long are the ears, though, mate? That's the big question.
I've got really, really long ears.
I almost went into like Donald Trump doing Batman then.
I've got tiny hands, okay? It's going to be huge.
You do like
Alright.
the hand, the mouth movement, the
Alright.
hands, everything.
And the squinty eyes, okay? You a very, very nasty woman, okay?
Build a wall.
I'm going to build a wall. It's going to be a huge wall, okay?
All right, that's the end of the podcast. Done.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
So if you haven't already seen the title, we are talking this week all about The Batman, but The Batman from the Nolan-verse.
Oh, the Nolan-verse Dark Knight Trilogy.
Begins Dark Knight Rises is what we're going to talk through today.
Yeah.
And just generally a little bit all about Batman and stuff, I reckon. In news of certain news leaks and stuff like that. So, in terms of news, Chris.
Okay. Let's drop some hot news.
And before we get on to DC,
Hot news.
you've got to do a bit of Marvel first.
Oh, you can't do anything but Marvel nowadays.
But it's not really Marvel, it's Sony, Chris.
Oh, it's
because
Sony Marvel, the worst type of Marvel.
just absolutely opened up that kind of worms on you then.
You got my hopes up with Marvel news and then you twisted it on me.
Twisting the knife, mate.
Oh, it is like a knife.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson as Carnage. So Tom Hardy has teased some photos, which I'm fairly certain got taken down. No, sorry, I'm thinking of something else. So yeah, Woody Harrelson, photos of Woody Harrelson as Carnage, but
So
not
I
as Carnage
shared
as Woody Harrelson.
I shared the first one of this on our Instagram as soon as Tom Hardy posted it.
At Get Real Pod.
At Get Real Pod on Instagram. Humble brag. Soft plug. Yeah, he looks pretty cool. He's got the wacky ginger hair. So we did see him at the end of Venom 1 in prison. He seems to be out of prison. He's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He looks crazy. That sounds like Carnage to me.
Yeah, it looks like they've tamed the wig back a little bit from what we saw.
Yeah, maybe that's his
at the end of
unkempt
Venom.
prison hair, and then he
Yeah, maybe he's had to keep up with that Garnier
because he's worth
hair
it.
dye because he's worth it, and he had to go and
It's
maybe
just going
it
to be
faded
weird
a
seeing
little bit.
Woody Harrelson with hair full stop.
Yeah, like curly red hair. It's going to look really weird because he's getting on a bit now, isn't he?
He's been bald since like the 80s.
However, I do think he's going to be a super interesting Cletus Cassidy.
He's going to be unhinged. Cletus Cassidy. I was trying to think of his name.
You're like waiting for me to say it
Yeah,
first.
all I could think of was Caduceus Clay from Critical Role, but that's something completely bloody different.
So yeah, it's a very poor photo really, but it gives you a little bit of a look.
Have
at
you
his
seen
style.
Tom Hardy's Instagram?
Well, it's full of poor photos.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. He's like a 15-year-old boy who's really into like Ed Hardy.
Yeah, it's like he just goes absolutely ham on the Instagram filters and
Yeah.
you know that really old one where it looks like you've taken
Proper
it with
crushed HDR.
yeah, where it looks like you've taken it with a film camera like
Yeah.
that one, but it's like a really bad day one Instagram edit,
Yeah.
lo-fi and whatever the other one is.
I've got some stuff like that
Throwbacks.
on my Instagram. If you scroll right down to the bottom, it's horrible.
Yeah. So yeah, the other thing that I don't think you've seen is the video footage.
Okay, there's a video.
So it's a really short video footage of Woody Harrelson. He's in the middle of a street. It's almost quite reminiscent of when Venom is in the lobby of that building, and then the security or SWAT teams attack him.
Yeah.
But what it is, it's Carnage, but Woody Harrelson. So he's dressed in that like Hawaiian shirt and stuff, and he's in front of some cars, and then there's police like saying stop right there, and then they start shooting, and you see his arms kind of do this weird twisty thing with his arms, and he kind of stands there. So obviously, I think what's happening is it's room for CGI red Carnage arms to
Tentacles.
go out, and
He's
no
going to
doubt
shield himself like prototype style.
Yeah.
prototype the video game.
Yeah.
And then he's just going to be like, tentacle kill,
Yeah, no doubt causing
tentakill.
some carnage, some mess.
Oh, God. Didn't take long to get that joke in there, did it?
And,
Okay, so what are we thinking towards Venom 2? We went to see Venom together.
I've not seen it since. Have you seen it since?
No.
It's come out on Blu-ray since
Yeah,
a lot of
no.
months ago.
I think that's like the only Spider-Man property Blu-ray that I don't own.
That probably says a lot about what we thought of it.
It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was fine.
The Venom's good.
Yeah, it looks
It's everything
great. The
else.
effects are good. The villain was trash. Like Riz Ahmed is a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
But having like, I know it sounds stupid, like because we're excited for Carnage almost, but like Venom fighting Venom
Yeah.
was stupid, and like the colours weren't that different when they were having that final fight on the way to the spaceship.
Yeah, it's just
I couldn't tell what the hell was going
a
on.
bit of a head fuck, really,
Yeah.
trying to see what's going on with like all the CGI and
I remember us two just sort of looking at each other, seeing it in the cinema, just like,
yeah,
what's going on?
yeah. And if you've listened to previous episodes, you'll know my thoughts about Venoms versus Venoms and Iron Mans versus Iron Mans and
people
stuff
fighting
like
the same
this.
version of themselves.
Yeah.
Like that can be done really interestingly.
But, yeah,
like
I mean,
we'll get on to maybe
Yeah.
with Batman Begins.
Yes.
Maybe. Like it can be done really well and say something like Black Panther.
Yeah, see, Black Panther's good because they're different enough.
Yeah.
Like,
Because the whole point of like fighting another version of yourself, or like you see it in films and video games and every sort of media, fighting like the shadow version of yourself
Yeah, sorry.
almost, is to deal with your own personal demons, and it's a personal enemy for you then.
yeah, and scratch that, what I just said about that. I mean, in terms of what Black Panther does, is it does that whole thing where you're not sure whether that person is the bad guy or not. I mean, that's what worked with Black Panther, is it added more to
There were two sides of the
Michael
same
Jordan's
coin.
character. Yeah, because you kind of got where Michael Jordan's character, what was his name again? Killmonger. You get where Killmonger's coming from in terms of his premise and why he's, his reasons for doing
you
what he's
almost
doing.
agree with him until
Yeah.
a certain point.
And then obviously when he starts, going villain, then you don't
Yeah.
agree with him. But you can't really say the same about Riz Ahmed character,
Exactly,
who's just a
like-
bit psychotic and just
Like he was
Venom.
just such a plain, boring bad guy. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you could have said more. Like
Yeah.
fighting another version of yourself. Like there's a chance to say more about the protagonist. But
Yeah.
this didn't inform anything about the protagonist. Like
Mm.
it was just a CGI mush at the end of it.
Yeah, and I think
So hopefully this will counteract it with them being different colours. One being
Yeah,
bright red, one being black.
yeah.
Like you can tell the difference a bit more rather than dark grey and black.
and obviously you've got this like hillbilly character rather than we're assuming it probably might be a little bit different.
Well, that's the thing. The scenes with Riz Ahmed's, we can't even remember what his character was called.
I can't even remember what the Venom character was called in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Why didn't they just give everyone Carnage first? You already had Woody Harrelson at the end of the film.
That's
you
the
already,
question.
You already made that acting choice.
Yeah, you had him signed on,
Like, I would have rather have had...
or just don't have a villain and just have Venom going against the cops or something like that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like
yeah.
have like the dark takeover of Venom, like twisting Eddie into committing crimes and stuff.
Yeah, that would have... Yeah, you know what? Give this man a script.
Just give me a budget.
Get this man a script. Black Panther reference.
That was a Black Panther,
Yeah.
Captain America reference.
Yeah.
Get this man a shield. Yeah, I forgot what my point was now.
I think, yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't spend any time and the time that we did spend with Riz Ahmed's character outside of the fight sequences, you just didn't care about him at all. Like
No.
they didn't build his character at all. Whereas with Cletus Cassidy, you can build this interesting, deranged character. It would be a
Yeah.
lot more like Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
Tying it in again to where this episode's
Very
going.
nice segue. But
Yeah.
too early of a segue, Chris, because there's more.
Well, I
more to
made
talk
two
about.
Batman references in one Venom segment. Anyway, off Venom.
So Sonic's come out.
Yep.
Speaking
Sonic
of
came
Batman, speaking of things all red, black, and blue.
Okay. Yep. Speaking of characters, This is the podcast, guys.
Carnage is red. Knuckles is red. Knuckles is from the Sonic universe. There's your segue.
That sounded like the worst Valentine's poem ever. I hope you all enjoyed Valentine's Day this week. Sam's now got a Valentine's poem for you.
Knuckles are blue. No.
No, Knuckles is red.
Right. Sonic's come out, and apparently it's okay. You were meant to go see this today.
I was meant to go see it today. Things came up in personal lives, so we didn't end up going to see it. It probably turned out for the best that I didn't go see it. I got a lot of stuff done today. But I've seen people slamming it, and then I've seen children really enjoying it. Like, I know family members who have taken children to see it, and they've really liked it and stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, it sets up something at the end.
Right.
Like different characters. I don't know anything, and I kind of don't want to know anything.
No, I'm gonna say it now, just so I don't say anything. I've listened to a full podcast episode on this that went spoiler heavy from the get go on it. So, from what I've heard, I'm not going to tell you any plot points for Sonic, and if anyone out there is really worried about spoilers, I mean, you're a little bit worried because you're going to go pay to go watch it, so I don't want to spoil it.
Potentially.
But, yeah, potentially pay to go watch it.
We'll see where the week goes. Either I don't see it, or I'm going to pay money to see this one.
So I think the problems people had with Sonic were not. Well, it was Sonic. Sonic was the problem in the film, apparently. Obviously, they had to.
That doesn't sound good for a Sonic film.
But apparently, Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik kills it.
To be honest, that's what I'm going to the cinema to see it for.
Yeah,
apparently me and my girlfriend are big Jim Carrey fans, so seeing him like return to form with this crazy out there character.
Yeah, he's very much from what I've heard, very Ace Ventura in this film.
Okay, that's good.
But
Somebody stop me.
One really funny thing that I heard is that without any kind of context for the first half of this film, when Jim Carrey appears, it could be Ace Ventura 2.
Okay. Ace Ventura 3.
Ace Ventura 3, sorry.
Ace Ventura 4, because they made a third one when he was a kid.
Some could say a Sonic detective.
Oh. But yeah, apparently the end, a character's revealed, and apparently it's leaning more video gamey.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'm hoping maybe we get some rest of the cast maybe from the Sonic games or something.
I mean, I'm going to speculate. I'm going to really throw it out there. But if you know Sonic, it's either going to be Knuckles, Tails, or it's going to be Shadow the Hedgehog.
I'm thinking maybe they set up Shadow as the next villain.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Do you remember, this came up on that same podcast I listened to, but did you ever play that old Shadow the Hedgehog game?
Where he had M14s.
Yeah, when he had fucking guns. Like, what?
Yeah. Like was that was like the year before the awful Sonic game came out, just after the launch of the 360, where he kisses a human girl. He has a love interest that's a human girl.
But the Shadow the Hedgehog game was
and Amy's just there.
Really good.
Yeah.
Like, did you play that?
Yeah, he was riding around on a motorbike. Why is he riding a motorbike? He's quicker without it.
Because he is
He
cool,
travels
man.
at the speed of sound.
Why does he need a motorbike? And why does
he's slower on the motorbike.
Why does he need guns with bullets when he's probably faster than what a bullet is? He's probably more dangerous himself.
He is faster than a bullet. I think you see that in the intro.
He's more dangerous than the two guns that he's holding. But I really forgot
it was the edgy Sonic reboot we never knew we wanted.
I honestly completely forgot that he had two pistols in this game. I totally forgot
in this
that was
film.
a thing.
Spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Shadow just comes in and pops a cap in Jim Carrey.
I know, and then he
just shoots James Marden in the face.
Yeah,
Marston.
and then he just pops a cap in Sonic's foot, and then Sonic's
you never run it again, bitch.
Stuck in a wheelchair in Sonic 2. There you go.
He shoots him in the base of the spine like the Joker does to Oracle. You're not Batgirl no more.
Oh, he's keeping it relevant.
I am keeping it relevant.
This same
killing joke.
So it was. I think it was the Hey Fam podcast. Shout out. I mean, not like they need it.
Shout out.
But they watched this in 4DX. Have you ever heard of 4DX?
Oh, so is this what it is? Is this where you sit in the seats which rumble you when you're moving?
Yeah. So I don't. The reason I'm bringing this up is because we should definitely go choose a film to watch this in. If we
Top
have
Gun Mavericks.
Getting
tossed about in a fighter plane.
Seriously sick after watching it.
How many G's do you get in those suits?
that just locks behind you, and there's just like an ejector seat, like in Bond. You just like fly out the ceiling.
No,
of
you
the
know those
cinema.
4D experiences where you go in a little booth. They've always got them in like shopping centres or at like NAF theme parks, and you just like lock yourself in, and it's like shakes you about, and it's a 3D experience. They spit some water at you.
Plot twist: all the walls in the cinema fall down like big wooden panels, and you're actually at a roller coaster. God's sake.
That wouldn't surprise me. Tom Cruise sets that up for someone.
But yeah, apparently it has like air blows on you, and then they have
Smell-o-vision.
Yeah. No, it's they have it set up so the air blows. You've got obviously vibrations built into the chair. You can have it so the air blows on the back of your neck as well.
For like tense moments.
Yeah, but another thing is that you can have an option for water when like there's splashes and stuff that you get splashed a little bit, and the seats do move around a bit as well.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know whether we have anything like that in the UK. I don't know whether it's 4DX or is it. I know there was something in one of the Liverpool cinema.
So the one in the Trafford Centre is getting VR for VR films.
Yeah, IMAX VR, isn't it?
And then I know the one in Glasgow. I know that's not local to us, but in Glasgow,
so relevant.
Back when I went in like 2012 or something. What year did Oblivion come out? 2012.
Oblivion. Oh, Tom Cruise Oblivion. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was a while ago.
Kind of back to Tom Cruise. 2013, I think it was. I went to see that in Glasgow. Yeah. Great film. Oblivion's a great film. That had like movable chairs, like the 4DX stuff, only not as intense. They had that back then, so I'm gonna guess maybe they upgraded them.
Chris,
what?
4DX is a Cineworld in the UK.
Well,
is
that in the new super screen Cineworld that's just opened up in Warrington?
We'll talk about this later, and we will. Maybe...
Let's go see The Batman.
They have
in 4DX.
Disney Pixar Onward in 4DX, and Harley Quinn Birds of Prey.
It seems weird having it for an animated film.
Yeah, hopefully there's lots of water in it.
Because that's what I want. Day-old water squirting out at me from a chair.
Open up your mouth and get a free drink.
Yeah, do you reckon if I fill it full of Dr. Pepper, they'll squirt that at me?
Well, you never know.
Because the drinks are expensive enough.
Yeah, just spray it into my mouth for free, just bit by bit. You're only allowed to drink when there's like
you go to see Underwater with Kristen Stewart in it, just for that. Not Kristen. Yeah.
Forcing you to go to the toilet. Speaking of Glasgow, Chris.
Yeah, and speaking of The Batman, like I said, yeah.
Do you want to touch on this?
Okay, so we have new videos and new images of The Batman, the bat suit from The Batman. So we discussed it last time, we had the teaser, but now we get a full body reveal from the set in Glasgow. So they went to the Necropolis in Glasgow, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And they've been shooting outdoor motorcycle scenes.
A very funny outdoor motorcycle
So
scene.
he's like having a motorbike race almost with someone, and then as soon as he gets up to the camera, he just bails out of the motorbike.
Yeah, you can't tell whether maybe... So let's wonder what's happening here, right?
I was like, did he mean to do that? Because the stunt guy seemed pretty calm about it.
Yeah, I mean, before we start talking about, the shots of Batman, let's just really talk about this little video first. It needs the time. And this is a Batman episode, Chris. So
this is a Batman episode. It's all relevant.
So he's going down this long street, isn't he? With another stunt driver next to him.
Yeah, down from the Necropolis.
So
I'm going to guess, throw it out there, maybe that's standing in for the grounds of Wayne Manor.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, carry
on. So, yeah, you got another biker to the side, and you've got Robert Pattinson in his full Batman get-up, which we'll touch on in a bit, which is a different costume.
Bats.
Yeah. What's that? Bats. Okay, we'll go with Bats.
People used to call him Bats, so Bats.
Bats. Who's in a different costume to what we saw in the camera test.
Was it a different costume?
I think it is. It looks a way more... The helmet looks a little bit different. It's more like it's not like the cowl that he's got.
Oh, was that the one where... so the eyes were
different.
Covered almost with this. In this suit.
Yeah.
But did you also notice there was a photo of them replacing the eyes with green eyes? So I'm going to
Yeah.
guess that's for CGI work, maybe to give him the white eyes, or maybe he had like a heads-up display in it, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I saw someone say they had proper Gaslight, Gotham by Gaslight vibes from this because of the
From
whole
the
like,
setting.
the Gotham-y kind of Gotham-y, the gothic Gotham that they're going for.
That's where it gets the name from. It's always been kind of gothic, hasn't it, with its architecture and stuff, which like Scotland and the UK is perfect to do that in.
Yeah, you know what? The shot of the necropolis in Glasgow, obviously it's not as cityscape behind it, but with a bit of CGI and a bit of visual effects, you could make it look real.
Well, that's why I'm thinking possibly Wayne Mansion, because how many times have you seen it in different versions where Wayne Mansion is like well out of the city? It's normally on like a hilltop. They've got their own graveyard in it, and then he like leaves in the Batmobile, doesn't he? Typically, like down these like dark alleyways to get to the city.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a version of that.
So anyway, the thing that matters in this conversation is that he's going down the street and he falls off this bike.
Proper Bales.
The proper Bales, because the person that's next to him like lifts the visor up for a second, so it's almost like that's the take done. And it's almost like he doesn't know how to stop the bike and he just like falls off.
Or maybe he was going too fast. He's like, I can't get this without killing the camera guy. Let me bail the bike
just where
off.
it cuts off is just like perfect for like comedic timing, because it's almost like the camera guy or woman has like panicked and like switched it off to like run over and help him.
There's a Twitter account called Perfectly Cut Screams, and it's a Twitter account where they post different videos of like something happening and somebody screaming, but they seem to like cut it right as the scream
it's so
happens.
funny.
So it's just like so you could just imagine like that in this video, like it's cut just as the bike was about to hit someone. It's like
It's literally so perfect. I think the only thing that would make it more perfect if it went on that little bit more and you just saw him like lie on the floor dead stiff, because he falls off really stiff and then it cuts off.
Yeah,
but
I noticed I don't think any of the photos that we got were Robert Pattinson in the suit. I think it was all a stunt guy.
Yeah, because I was showing my girlfriend this, like the photo, and said that's Robert Pattinson, and it's like it doesn't look like
Doesn't look
him.
anything like him.
No.
I think it's a stunt guy doing
Unless
all that
he's
stuff.
really beefed, like since we saw.
Well, I don't mean that.
previous
Just like the
photos.
face, the mouth doesn't look anything
Yeah.
like him.
What's your thoughts on this visual representation of him?
Okay, so from the test footage, from the screen test that we got, I really liked it.
Yeah.
Seeing it with the arms and stuff, it's strange. Like, it feels weird to me. I do like it. It's a new take. Like I put on our Instagram, check out our Instagram. It feels more realistic. Like, it feels like homemade armor that he's made. And like he's got the stuff on his arms almost like Black Widow's bracelets with the different tools on and stuff like that. And he's got a proper utility belt as well. It feels a lot more realistic. It feels like something that you could make yourself, which is what we said last time.
Yeah, I reckon this is going to be one of those films that when we get a trailer for it is almost like so different to what we've had with the comic book movies that we've had. I think it's going to be really
It's
interesting.
a lot more of a bulky suit.
Yeah.
Like bulky with
yeah,
loads of different segments to it. Like it feels like bulky bulletproof armor
Yeah.
rather than a sleek Batman doing somersaults from building to building type thing. It feels a lot
Yeah.
more like street level detective, like year one type stuff.
It's almost like a perfect, like, in the middle between what we got with Christian Bale's Batman and the Dawn of Justice version of Batfleck.
Yeah.
Like, though,
With the armored suit, you mean?
Yeah, where
Yeah.
he's like massive, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's almost like
He
a
is
nice
buff.
yeah, it's almost like a perfect split between that, which is cool.
The helmet does give me Gotham by Gaslight.
Bit of a mouthful.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Vibes to it, like leather sort of. We got short ears as well. I would say they were short ears.
They're very small short ears, though.
Yeah.
Very tiny little short. Maybe that's his biking helmet, though. Maybe it's like aerodynamic.
Possibly. I reckon we might see two different costumes in this as well.
I reckon we'll see maybe more.
Okay.
Maybe more.
I reckon like maybe either this is his first suit or it's his second suit and the end of the film we might get a third.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think of the Bat Cycle?
it looks just like a normal black motorbike, except for the front, obviously, instead of having the windscreen. Or maybe they're going to CGI the windscreen in so that they don't get reflections and stuff.
Yeah.
They do that all the time. Yeah, it does look a bit like a bat face, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It just looks like a motorbike, really. Nothing too special. It's not like
Yeah.
an absurdly bat-like face.
No.
It's not
Do you
like
reckon it's
the...
gonna...
What was the bat cycle in the Nolan films called?
It was like
it had a special name in the bat cycle,
Well,
didn't it? In the
It came
Nolan
out
films.
of the Batmobile, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was
came out of the tumbler with the spinny wheel, didn't it?
Yeah, it had like a... But that's like a bit more like a... I don't really know how to describe it. It's almost like a futuristic space bike.
Yeah.
Like, you can imagine what they would have in, like, the...
Well, the tumbler seemed pretty futuristic anyway.
Yeah, where this is just more like a standard bike, innit?
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
what you'd expect. Do you
It's
reckon
like he's shot bought it and just spray painted it black.
Yeah. Do you reckon it's going to have any... Do you reckon looking at something like that, like his tech and
Maybe
stuff...
some gadgets.
Maybe some gadgets in it?
Maybe...
I mean, he's got some kind of gadgets on his arms, doesn't
Well, that's
he? On
what I'm
his
saying about,
forearms,
like,
he's got...
the... I think that's armor and maybe grappling stuff, maybe.
Maybe.
He's got a proper, like, thick utility belt. Like, he's got shit in those pockets.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like the Christian Bale one where you'd never see him use really anything from his pockets.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's going to have some tech, but it's going to be, like, hand-rigged, like maybe some bowlers to trip someone up or...
Do you reckon this is a
tie
killer
people up.
Batman?
No.
No. Do you
No, I
reckon
think
that's
he's-
like...
I think Matt Reeves is
like-
going to stick to, like, Batman doesn't kill.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even... Like, he would probably try and save people instead of just, like, leaving them to die type thing.
I think it's even more interesting when we look at, like, the backdrop and stuff that we get and the style of it, and you see that Batman, and then you think the Riddler and Penguin are in this film.
It does feel really gothic. Like, it feels more like the Arkham games in tone.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're probably going to get more like. Almost like Nolan verse. Like, this Batsuit doesn't... feels like it wouldn't have been out of place in Batman Begins.
No, it wouldn't, probably. No.
Yeah.
Speaking of Batman Begins...
Have we got anything else? Oh, I saw some concept art that somebody made for... It was a teaser of Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman.
Oh,
and it was done in the style...
Was it like a purple style of the
it
camera
was-
test?
Yeah, it was like the camera test, only it was kind of Arkham-y, kind of like New 52, early New 52 Catwoman style.
Yeah.
I think that looked really good. I think the only reason I knew that it wasn't real was because I've seen that image of Zoe Kravitz going around everywhere. Like, it was the same pose. You could tell they had just photoshopped the costume over the top.
Yeah.
But that looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm
I
excited to
saw
see
it,
what
yeah.
she looks like, whether she's going to be like full Catwoman or whether she's just going to be Selena Kyle in this.
I think that it kind of, from what we've seen, it's going to be very tough for us to guess what they're going to look like.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really interesting version of those characters, especially with the Colin Farrell Penguin that we've got.
That kind of looked a bit like Bane, don't you think, from Dark Knight Rises with like the furry jacket on and stuff.
Yeah.
Borg jacket.
Yeah. I think that is going to be, like, I think what we're going to get from Paul Dano is going to be what you get on the tin with the Riddler.
You say Dano? I say Dano.
Is it Dano?
Paul Dano.
Dano?
Dano is what I always hear people say.
I could be wrong. I think what we get from him is going to be what we get on the Riddler tin. You know what I mean? I think he's not going to surprise us when we see his costume.
All hat
maybe.
glasses.
Yeah, or
umbrella,
maybe, yeah.
walking
Maybe,
stick, cane.
you know, he's got that look, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think the Penguin is going to be the most interesting thing.
I also think maybe this version of the Riddler might be kind of like tech heavy as well.
Oh,
Almost
that'd be
like
cool,
the
yeah.
Arkham stuff.
Yeah,
He's
that'd
going to
be very
lay sort
cool.
of like traps like that with like lots of screens and stuff, because you could imagine him like being like a hacker version of the Riddler.
So I was about to jump the gun a bit when you mentioned Batman Begins. There is one more Batman story that came out about Ben Affleck spoke to the New York Times about why he left the role.
Yeah.
Have you read this?
I read the bit about the Batman script.
Yeah. So with a bit where, so he says, I showed somebody the Batman script, he said, and they said, I think the script is good. I also think you'll drink yourself to death if you go through what you just went through again. This was in reference to the Dawn of Justice and the Justice League filming process.
Yeah.
Apparently,
And
the whole thing was an absolute shit show.
yeah, it was a shit show, and also he was drinking quite heavily. Like, it's been publicized that he had a drinking addiction while he was going through a separation from his wife.
Didn't he get admitted into rehab?
I think he admitted himself into rehab.
Yeah, he did. I think it was either just after Justice League, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was just after the marketing tour.
Yeah, and then you had everything.
International marketing.
You had everything that Zack Snyder went through during that film, losing his daughter, and then you've got the pressure from Warner Brothers as well. You've just got everything, haven't you? I
think there's so much potential there. Maybe that could be an episode. The potential of the DCEU.
Yeah. Well, we need to do a more modern DCEU or DCU. What was it called?
DCEU was what people were calling it, but they didn't officially call it that. They officially then called it World of DC. In one interview. Yeah. And that was it.
So we think we need to do a more modern World of DC retrospective, and we definitely need to do a Marvel retrospective.
Yeah.
Anyway, no space for Marvel in this. But yeah, he basically, Affleck spoke to the New York Times saying he drank relatively normally for a long time. What happened was that he started drinking more and more when my marriage fell apart. This was 2015-16. My drinking, of course, created more marital problems. Production on The Batman continued post-Affleck, Robert Pattinson being cast as the Dark Knight, blah, blah, blah. So basically, he moved away because of those issues and just the amount of pressure that he was going to put on himself by producing the Batman.
Yeah, because he was going to direct, produce, and star at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it's quite interesting that obviously there was all this, but even from just a directing point of view, I know obviously there's a lot more pressure when you direct and act in a film. This isn't something that he's not done before. You know, he did The Town.
Well, that's what I was about to mention. I like his directing work. Like, I think The Town would be great, and I think that would be a good tone for the version of the Batman that we seem to be getting.
But it's almost quite interesting that you see someone like Matt Reeves pick up that mantle, and hopefully that you don't cut that same issue isn't, or even like not the same issue, but even that amount of pressure and stuff doesn't get put on a director like that, because he's a brilliant director from the Planet of the Apes series, isn't it?
I think the issue with the pressure was because you are taking on Batman, and this was the first time we were getting a live action Justice League, and because the success of the MCU and the success of the Avengers, I think that's what the pressure was. And I think Ben got a lot of flack when a lot of it wasn't his fault. It was script changes and reshoots and everything like that. I think the cast that DC got was amazing. Like, fantastic casting. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Henry Cavill as Superman, Ezra Miller as The Flash, and then Jason Momoa out left wing as Aquaman. Like, I can't see anybody else in most of those roles.
No, I
mean, Flash I can play around with just because I like the TV version as well.
Yeah.
But that casting is phenomenal. I can't see anybody else as live action Wonder Woman. And I think even with Ben Affleck, they nailed it, but Warner Brothers screwed the pooch with those films. Really did.
Defo. And I think we're going to get a bit of a different look now with the Batman than probably what we would have had. I'm just looking through now. Obviously, Matt Reeves did the Planet of the Apes, two of the Planet of the Apes films.
Which ones did he do? He did Rise and Dawn, didn't he?
No, he did Dawn and War.
Dawn and War, yeah.
Yeah, so he did he did the last two. He also directed 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield. We always think J.J. Abrams, but it was only J.J. Abrams' production company that.
Oh, yeah.
I think Matt Reeves did direct these films. So if
I knew Abrams
sorry, he didn't direct. He was just involved with the films.
I was going to say, I think J.J. did direct the first Cloverfield.
Yeah. That was Dan Trachtenberg who directed 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah.
Either way, if he had something, if he produced it, it's still going to be ace. So, yeah, exciting.
Yeah, exciting. I am looking forward to the Batman.
Yeah, it's almost like hitting the reset button a little bit, which is nice.
It's been enough time since we had a solo Batman film.
Yeah, and I think you'd kind of be shooting it in the foot already if you did carry on with Ben Affleck, and I think it would be an unfair, based off what fans think and the response they would get, I think it'd just be totally unfair on the film, and I think it wouldn't do as well as what we would want to see it do.
I think that's one of the reasons why Birds of Prey has suffered a bit, is because it's linked to these previous films.
Yeah,
it's linked to Suicide Squad. Like, the new Suicide Squad, I think, is going to struggle for maybe the first week due to the last Suicide Squad until people realise what maybe James Gunn's done with it. I think a lot more people are going to wait to see what the reception is before they go see it.
Like I said, very interested on whether these universes with the Batman and Joker, whether they will tie in or whether they will redo the universe maybe. Or maybe just to play, let's just really go out there.
No, he's going out there. He's holding his hand up.
What if,
making a statement.
What if the Joker and the Batman are in the same universe?
People have been saying that a lot. I'm fine with the Joker just being separate and not getting a sequel to the Joker.
No.
At least not based around the Joker.
But how would you feel if you had like a little tie-in from the Batman that's a tie-in?
I'll be fine with it, but I don't really
that these
want
are in
it.
the same continuity.
Yeah, I'll be fine with it, but I don't really want it. Like, because then I think all you're going to hear for like the next 5 years after the Batman comes out is, when are we getting the Batman Joker crossover?
Yeah, maybe it's too soon.
I don't know if the tones would work the same. Like, Joker was a great film, but I feel like it was like one and done. Like, I think they need to do more Elseworld stuff and kind of keep the characters separate for now.
Yeah, defo.
Although, actually, fresh news, there was something else to mention in the news while we're talking about Worlds of ECs and DCEU. The Flash is back in active production now.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who's directing it. I don't know if they got new directors, but it's now scheduled for 2022.
Okay, a year after
2 years ago. Yeah. 2 years away. Apparently Ezra Miller's still attached, and it is going to be based around Flashpoint again.
Okay.
Which, now that we've had a solo film from Aquaman, and we'll have 2 Wonder Woman films, maybe even a third one by then, maybe in 2022 we'll be getting a third one, we are meant to be seeing the version of Flashpoint.
And Shazam.
And Shazam, we'll have more of them. So, because, Shazam plays a part in the Flashpoint comic books as well, the Flashpoint comic books as well. We are meant to see those two go head to head, like in the comic books.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Because in the comic books, if you don't know, with Flashpoint, spoilers, if this is what they're going to do, Wonder Woman in the Amazons and Atlanteans are at war, and I believe Wonder Woman beheads Mera in front of Aquaman.
Yeah, something brutal like that.
And I remember having this conversation with you when they were talking about doing the Flash before or just after. It was somewhere around the Justice League films, and they were rushing it through. I was like, we don't need Flashpoint this soon. I remember having this conversation with you. The whole point Flashpoint made in the comic books was the fact that you cared about all these characters, and seeing an Elseworlds version of him was shocking.
Yeah.
Like getting the Flashpoint Earth 2 version of Thomas Wayne as the Batman, and his mum becoming the Joker, and like Aquaman and Wonder Woman going at loggerheads, and Wonder Woman being a villain in it, essentially.
Yeah.
The whole reason you care about that is because you care about the characters, and seeing them step so far away from their moral compass and everything made such a big difference. Whereas, like, when we first got these DC films, if you do 2 films which are meh at best, with like Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad, and then you rush in Justice League to then do Flashpoint, you don't care about these characters. You haven't built them up enough to then be like, but here's a different version of them. It's like, well, we don't know the original version to care about the different version.
And it's a good time to introduce Reverse Flash in as well.
Yeah. And I think, I think I said to you, the best thing to do for Flash 1 would just be have Reverse Flash as the villain, and then Flashpoint 2. Flash 2 being Flashpoint. But I think now we're okay because everyone's fallen in love with Jason Momoa's Aquaman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. And I think that's why they announced this. They said, we're getting Flashpoint in 2022. Nothing to do, they didn't mention anything about whether Ezra Miller was still attached or who the directors and writers are, but they said, we'll see Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman and Jason Momoa's Aquaman in it.
Interesting.
Like, that was like the selling point of when they when this came out this week.
Yeah. So we'll potentially see a evil version of Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa.
See, now I'm interested in that. Like, this conversation that we had back in the day, I think it was when we got out of... We went to a midnight screening at the Trafford Centre, I know that much. I think it might have been Suicide Squad, and we were leaving, and I was like, I don't want Flashpoint. As a big Flash fan, don't want Flashpoint. Now I'm saying, yeah, give me Flashpoint, because I want to see these other versions. Which is the exact point I made to you. You need to care about these characters before you want to see these characters in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. The final thing is Suicide Squad has wrapped. So that's done. That's done now.
I did not see that. That seems like a small production.
Well, to be fair, a lot of it was probably
on set. And stuff like
a lot
that.
of it we've probably not seen.
Yeah.
I think it was it Panama that they've done it in?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that they've wrapped there. That was the final bits that they were shooting. So yeah, that's done.
Because I remember them announcing production starting quite a while ago. So it's probably all on closed sets, and then they went to Panama to do the final stuff.
Yeah, so
because it felt like the Eternals was shooting for a long time compared to Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But James Gunn, I think, is quite tight with how he shoots stuff.
Yeah, so we might be not far off maybe seeing a trailer for this at some point now.
Maybe Comic-Con or the con season, so summertime.
Yeah, cool, exciting. So we've been going we've gone for quite a while.
This is just
there.
a big DC episode.
Yeah, maybe we should split this into 2 episodes.
Oh,
maybe a big news catch up, and then maybe,
and then we drop into the Dark Knight trilogy.
So we start with the Nolan verse, which we'll call it, with Batman
the Dark
Begins.
Knight trilogy.
Exactly. But only 2 of these films are called The Dark Knight.
But it's still known as the Dark Knight trilogy. When it's released on Blu-ray, it's the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah. I'm just being an ass.
But I like the fact that you're trying to keep Christopher Nolan's name in it so much, because he was the mastermind behind all this. He is a mastermind in general.
Yeah.
I know it's not a hot take that. I think everybody in the world agrees with it. Christopher Nolan's a filmmaking genius.
He is. Absolutely. Absolutely amazing. So, when we start with Batman Begins, so what have you caught up on recently?
I watched The Dark Knight a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Because that's the best one.
Yeah.
And it's always been shown on TV and stuff like that. So I caught that recently.
Yeah.
I will say, do we want to talk about which one our favourite is first?
Okay, yeah, we'll do that first.
Or should we rank them in order of how good they are?
Maybe we should rank them in order at the end.
Okay.
And maybe we should talk about them first. So let's say I caught up on Batman Begins, because to be honest, I'd never watched that film all the way through. And then I watched The Dark Knight today. I've not watched The Dark Knight Rises again, but I can kind of remember what happens in that. So in terms of how these films hold up watching them now, I say Batman Begins kind of is the one that struggles the most. It's so... Well, basically, I made notes. So the first 45 minutes of this film, it isn't a Batman film. It's just, there's nothing in terms of... full spoilers for the Dark Knight trilogy, by the way.
Yeah,
obviously.
When did the Dark Knight Rises come out? 2014?
Too long ago.
Spoilers for like a 6-year-old trilogy.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not a Batman movie. You could have anything going on this. I'll tell you what it could be, Chris. It could be The Bourne Identity. It could be the start of a Mission Impossible film. It could be anything.
It could be all those million revenge flicks that you see on Netflix.
And it's only a Batman film because this guy's name is Bruce Wayne. Because Christian Bale's name is Bruce Wayne.
And the League of Shadows, I guess.
Yeah, and because you got the League of Shadows. But that's it.
They are called the League of Shadows in this, aren't they? Not the League of Assassins.
Yeah.
In the comic books, it's the League of Assassins.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's either. I think it's called the League of Shadows. So the League, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so like, it's almost a bit like, it reminded me a bit of Doctor Strange, where he obviously goes to the monks and stuff like that. But obviously, you've got Liam Neeson. who and I mean
he was a great get.
I mean, you can cast anyone you want in this film, right? But when you've got like, I don't know where it's based, let's just say Tibet. I don't know.
I think it might be Tibet.
Yeah, if let's say Tibet
or Nepal, at least.
Yeah, somewhere like that. And then you've got I don't know. You've just got Liam Neeson, and he's not. I'm gonna say it. He's not the right ethnicity, is he? You know what I mean? I know you get someone who is. It's a bit like the
Al-Ghul changes, so I can't quite say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you mean. He
Do you
doesn't.
get what I mean?
He looks like he's out of place.
Yeah,
being
he
there.
sticks out like a sore thumb in this film, and that kind of felt a bit odd. But I guess that doesn't really matter. We've got things like Ghost in the Shell and stuff that are like that.
that one sticks out like a sore
That
thumb.
sticks out like a real sore thumb, like a sore foot, even
Like an entire sore leg that needs to be amputated.
an entire sore hand. You know,
Like a corpse.
but yeah, it's only after that first 45 minutes we start to get like, you know, the Falcone in there and stuff like that. I feel like it takes so long to get going. And also there's like, don't get me wrong, I liked the film, but it didn't feel like a Nolan film. I don't know why.
Okay.
To me, it didn't. And after watching The Dark Knight, I personally put Batman Begins and The Dark Knight leagues apart. They're leagues apart, those films.
I think a lot of people would agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, let's just talk about Batman Begins first then. Like, being this the first time you've seen it, or it's seen it all the way through, I'm surprised by that. I thought you had seen them all. Yeah, it feels weird. It feels like a film of like 4 halves. I know that sounds stupid maths, but it feels like a film of, like, when you think it's over, then you got the whole thing about like the bomb that's gonna evaporate all the water, was it, or something to do with hydrogen or something in the slums?
So what happens?
And then it's got like a whole extra half hour.
Yeah, so let me just absolutely just try and bullet
Right, because I haven't ran through this. I haven't watched this recently. Give me a recap.
I'm just going to try and explain the plot of this film in like a few bullet points.
Speedy recap.
So, Bruce Wayne, you're introduced to him. He's in a mining camp.
It's a prison, isn't it?
He's a prisoner in a mining camp. You don't know why he's there. He's just isolated himself.
Self-imposed exile.
Yeah, exactly. He gets introduced to Raj Al-Ghul. Raj Al-Ghul knows who he is, trains him, teaches him the ways of martial arts and stuff like that. Eventually, Bruce Wayne goes back to Gotham, doesn't like how Gotham has gone. After this whole self-imposed exile, he decides that he wants to be a symbol that someone can relate to, that is a representation of justice, really, isn't it? He doesn't want to do it as Bruce Wayne, because he wants to do it as someone who is completely separated from Gotham. So that happens. He becomes Batman. You've got bloody what's his name, who plays Scarecrow?
Cillian
Murphy. He's a psychologist or what have you. He starts going bad. You've also got Falcone. First name I can't remember. Carmine Falcone is the big crime lord. He's, driving Gotham into the ground. So then in this film, you've got so many Batman villains, by the way. I didn't realise. You've got Carmine Falcone, you've got Joe Chill right at the beginning because of the origin story, which is just kind of shoved in there throughout part of the film just to make sure it's in there. You've got Ra's al Ghul, you've got Scarecrow, you've also got Victor Zsasz in this film twice.
Yeah. I forgot Zsasz was in it.
So basically, Falcone's bad. He's working with Ra's al Ghul's kind of doing everything in the background with the League. This reason that this weapon or what have you from this ship has gone missing. They're putting Scarecrow is putting his serum into the water supply. Falcone goes crazy because of Scarecrow, and then the idea is that the device that they take from the boat is to then make all the serum that they've poured into the water, the crazy serum,
evaporate into the area.
There's an actual name for what the Scarecrow uses. It's like that gas, isn't it? Fear gas. It's fear gas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or nightmare gas, or whatever it is. Fear gas.
I think it's known as the fear serum in the American games or something.
Yeah. So fear serum goes into the water, and then it causes This then evaporates it into the air, and then everyone goes crazy.
Yeah, they're putting it in the slums. What do they call the slums of Gotham again?
Well, it's actually Arkham Island, isn't it? It's like an island where Arkham... It's a bit like in the Arkham games where it gets separated to the rest of Gotham.
Which is another Batman storyline called No Man's Land, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is touched on in The Dark Knight Rises, where they separate the island.
Yeah.
So you know how Bane does it, he closes off the bridges and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a bit like that. So it's there's parts of it that are a callback. But yeah, and then at the end, Ra's al Ghul's like, I'm gonna ride this train into Wayne Tower.
This crazy train.
By some mad coincidence, that's where the city's water supply is. And
it's
then,
the central hub for everything.
Yeah, and basically Jim Gordon blows up the bridge and Ra's al Ghul drives it into the ground and blows up and dies.
Batman's like, I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Yeah. Oh my god, that line is like, no, by not saving him, you are killing him.
Yeah, you're
Really?
effectively killing him.
Yeah.
Like that was like the logic that people had for the Ben Affleck Batman in Justice League and Dawn of Justice as well, where he's like, I'm gonna blow up your backpack, but it's kind of your own fault, but it's not my fault, so I'm not killing you. Like, it's not my fault that I blew up that boat that crashed into the car that you just drove into it.
Yeah,
That's your fault that you died.
Well,
I'm just here not saving you.
You can only blur that line so much, man.
Yeah.
You can only blur it so much. And
Like you've got 1 foot either side of the line.
yeah,
You are straddling it hard.
And also in this film, before we get on to talking about the Batman in this film, Joffrey is in this film.
Yeah, baby Joffrey.
Baby Joffrey. I was like, wait, what the fuck's that guy doing in it?
Doesn't he play Commissioner Gordon's kid?
Is it? I think he does actually.
Yeah.
He does play. Yeah. No, he doesn't, because I'm sure it's not him in The Dark Knight. I'm sure.
No, but I think it was him in.
No, I'm sure he just plays some random ass kid that Christian Bale's love interest just protects when she goes on to Arkham Island. Because I'm sure I watched
Jack Gleason is his name.
Yeah, I'm sure when I watched The Dark Knight, it wasn't him in the film. I'm pretty certain. Chris is just doing some furious research right now while we check this. Anyway, right, I'll leave you to fact check it while I talk about how much I hate this voice that Christian Bale puts on. It's not as bad.
Oh no, he's just credited as Little Boy.
Yeah, that's
he's just a random kid.
I didn't think he was very important in this film, but all I could see was Game of Thrones Joffrey. That's all I could see.
It's
when
weird
I watched
seeing
it.
him as like kind of a nice little lad instead of the monster that he was in Game of Thrones.
And also, how the hell does this fear gas work? Because he isn't affected by it.
It's but so they're weird. Basically trying to get all the poor people in the city to rip each other apart. Aren't they?
The cool parts of this film is the fear gas bits are really sick.
Where you see Demon Batman.
Yeah, and it's like all this black dripping out of his
found
mouth.
out recently, so I thought that was just like CG. No, they made a second version of the suit that was the Nightmare suit.
Really?
Yeah, that covered the mouth and had all the gnarly stuff.
Yeah, that was a proper gnarly costume. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, that creeped me out when I was younger.
Yeah, the bit where you've got the bats falling out of Scarecrow's mouth. You've got like almost like a ride.
He has like maggots coming out of him at one point as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a bit where he's on a. Oh no, it's when Scarecrow's on a horse. Sorry, for some crazy reason he finds a horse and starts riding it, but. Where it's almost like a ride with the apocalypse because the horse has got like red eyes and stuff.
Death or plague, isn't it?
Yeah. And then there's a bit where Batman as well, he's coming in when all the fear gas is leaked and he's got like red eyes and stuff. And all those bits are really sick. But
I'm trying to think of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse now. Got war, death, pestilence, and plague, is it?
Yeah. But I just think that you really didn't need in this. You know what? In this film, I would have been fine with Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow. Carmine with Falcone's wasted in this film.
I think he's always in other media. I think in the comic books he's had some good storylines, but I think in other media he is typically like a background villain. I think the most he ever got used was in Gotham because I was dealing with.
Are we talking about
Gordon.
Scarecrow, or are we talking about
Carmine Falcone?
Carmine, yeah.
But he has been cast in the Batman as well. I think he's going to do the same thing. He's going to be like an underlying crime lord type thing. He never really hit the full potential of how dangerous he is, except for in Gotham.
And so, talking about Batman, some of the parts, like the first Batman unveil in this film, I don't know whether you remember it. Like the timing is like meant to be scary, or it's meant to be like he's terrifying for villains, but it's almost comedic. The first unveiling you get of it really makes me laugh. The first unveiling you get of Christian Bale's Batman is God, get my words out. A thug just turns around and he's there, and he's just like, and then he just turns around and it's there, and it's like it's almost funny. But I think at the time it's not as bad because that's like the first kind of serious on-screen Batman that we got.
Yeah.
Bar like Adam West and stuff.
Yeah.
And
well, he's not
Michael Keaton.
Well, yeah. So you got Adam West. You had one in the 40s.
It was the more darker version of Batman that we got in this one.
Well, you had so like you said, you had Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
In the Tim Burton films. Then you had Val Kilmer. Then you had George Clooney.
Yeah.
Then you had Christian Bale.
Yeah, so I know he's not the first real version of Batman that we've seen on screen, but he's like the darker.
Yeah, the realistic, the edgy.
Yeah, but oh man, you know what? I like these films. Don't get me wrong, I like them. But what really it's the cowl. It's he has to move his whole body, which gets fixed in the Dark Knight.
Yeah, so like it was all one piece. The cowl and the going into the cape type thing, wasn't it? It was a big rubber unit that squashed his mouth in like this, and he had a strange mouth, and then he's doing the voice as well.
Yeah.
It feels like he shouldn't be doing the voice. It was just because like the mask was like choking him.
I know, and you know, he's like kind of does it, and then in Dark Knight he like fully does it, and then in Dark Knight Rises he even more does it. It's just like the voice gets like progressively. Yeah,
like he suddenly develops like a lisp. He always leaves his mouth.
It's like he's trained himself to be able to do it. It's like in Batman Begins, it's like Nolan saying to Christian Bale, right, just don't make it sound like your voice. So
try and disguise your voice.
He's just like doing this, and he's just like doing like you're being like a cool action character.
And then it's like, right, now you need to growl and talk at the same time. But it's funny because Christian Bale says to Lucius Fox in The Dark Knight, he says, I need to be able to move my neck in the cowl. And it's like, yes, Christian Bale, you do, because that looks ridiculous.
Where is it? Yeah. If you can't, I know you can't see me right now. I'm sort of like hunching my neck, like I can't move my neck from my shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so yeah, I thought it was fine. Batman Begins was fine.
Yeah.
But I think
the intro, like you were saying, like it was a totally different film, but I thought that was quite interesting seeing like the journey to becoming the Batman, like the training it took and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think Ra's al Ghul, I don't care how you want to say it. We're going to say either one.
Yeah.
Like Ra's al Ghul, like was pretty cool having like the League of Assassins in there straight away. Like having like an entire organization, I think, because they lingered in the background throughout all the films then until they resurfaced in The Dark Knight Rises.
It's a shame. One really cool bit that they could have put in there that wasn't in the film was just a little bit of context about how he came back. Obviously, we know that's the Ra's al Ghul thing, that he can come back because of the Lazarus pit. But it would have been cool just for those that don't know and it just sees like Liam Neeson's come back. It would have been cool, like, just to have flashbacks every now and then to maybe someone finding him.
Do we get any reference to the Lazarus pit in?
No, Zilch, I think.
No.
I don't think we get anything.
Like, it would have made more sense then if somebody took his body, one of the assassins took his body from the crash and brought him back to life in the Lazarus pit again.
Yeah.
Maybe that could have, like, lifted the stakes yet again in The Dark Knight Rises when you find out that's Talia al Ghul. Yeah. And then it's like, but Ra's al Ghul is back as well.
Yeah. So I think we start to get more Nolan as we move into The Dark Knight. Like that intro sequence with the clown robbery.
Just quickly, before we move on from The Batman Begins, I think this is the most Gotham that Gotham has ever looked as well. Like after that, it's just Manhattan.
Yeah,
it's just another name for Manhattan. Like it just looks like a city, but in Batman Begins, like it looks like a gothic place. Like you've got all the CGI, like the tower and the overground railways, and like the slums, like layers and layers of slums and stuff.
Yeah, and it starts to just modernize it a bit more. Maybe
I kind of preferred like I like the way that it looks in Batman Begins. Like, it feels more like Gotham. Like I said, the rest of the time, it just feels like Batman in New York.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And to be fair, it's one of those where, like, visually, it probably would have looked more unique. Yeah. But I think maybe that's what makes, it kind of grounds the films a bit more, I suppose, in that sort of aspect.
Yeah, definitely, the setting definitely suits it more in The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, being just Manhattan reskinned. That does suit the Nolan style and like where the stories were going and stuff like that. Whereas Batman Begins is the most probably superhero-esque one that there is.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that's like the most that's in line with a superhero film, and it's got the weird sort of Gotham.
Yeah,
which like I said, I do prefer stylistically, but the setting, like imagine that setting with that version of Bane, it just wouldn't have worked the same. It definitely felt like Christopher Nolan was like, okay, I know what I want to do now with the second and the third one.
Yeah, it's almost like
and everything sort of followed suit from that. Like he had a clearer vision for what he wanted.
Yeah, you could tell he was a lot more comfortable just watching The Dark Knight now. Like you can tell how much more comfortable he is with how Gotham should be and the people and the villains and Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne and Batman. You can tell how much more comfortable he is in directing.
Much
all
more
that.
refined. Maybe he struggled with the thing that a lot of superhero franchises do of the origin story. Maybe he struggled to make it his own and like stray from the path type thing. Maybe that's what it was.
I also get a lot of American Psycho vibes from before we get onto The Dark Knight and just last little bits. I get a lot of American Psycho vibes from, is it American Psycho?
Yeah, where he plays the murderer.
Yeah, a lot of American Psycho vibes from Christian Bale in this, because I don't think they're miles off. I know obviously American Psycho is a bit of a classic. I'm just reaching for it on my shelf now to try and see if I can find out where it's from, but I'm struggling, so I'm just going to leave it.
What do you mean where it's from?
When it's from, sorry.
Late 90s, I believe.
Yeah, so he's a lot younger in it, but like there's bits and bobs of his Bruce Wayne is quite similar to the character that you get in American Psycho, but a lot less in the
year 2000.
Yeah.
So the latest of the 90s, as in the next decade.
Yeah, but like enough where I don't know. You get a lot less of that kind of vibe in The Dark Knight. He's a lot more of a Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight than what he is in Batman Begins, in my opinion.
American Psycho also starred another version of the Joker with Jared Leto in there.
Very true.
It's all connected. Okay, so we've decided, guys, we're going to cut this into two parts now. We want to give The Dark Knight Rises the time they deserve to talk about. Heath Ledger was too good to cut short, and we wanted to talk about Tom Hardy. So this is part one of two parts of the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah,
this is actually us from the future. We recorded pretty much the whole thing, but realised that we've got things to do, so we were rushing The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, so we're going to do that again in part two.
Yeah.
So for now, you can find us on
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GetRealPod.
And our email is getrealpoduk@gmail.com if you want to send us any notes for the show. And also you can check us out on Apple Music, Spotify, Podcast Stitcher, and wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a review, share us with your friends, do anything you can if you enjoy the podcast. Try to get other people to enjoy it too.
Share us on your Instagram stories, please, and also interact with our Instagram stories. We're putting polls on there a lot more lately, so just let us know. It's a chance to reach out to us, and we will comment on these polls.
Yeah, Get Real isn't just two people, it is a community that we want to build.
Society.
It's a society.
Holding a mirror up to society.
I can't say anything else.
See you in part 2, where we talk about society and the Joker.
See you next week.
It's not even next week, it's in 2 days. See you then.